In Charlotte, the landscape reveals a striking story of contrast. Here, some neighborhoods thrive, with easy access to fresh produce and healthy eating options. Yet just a few miles away, many Black communities grapple with profound barriers. Disparities in food availability and quality create significant challenges, often leaving residents with limited choices. For them, the journey to nutritious eating is a struggle against a system that overlooks their needs. This is more than just a matter of convenience. It's a critical issue impacting the health and well-being of historically Black communities of Charlotte, North Carolina. But this story isn't just about what's missing. It's about the power to reclaim what's essential. It's about food sovereignty, the right of communities to define their own food systems, from growing and distributing to accessing nutritious, culturally appropriate food. This documentary, brought to you by Soul Nation, explores the disparities encountered and highlights the remarkable efforts of the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition, Three Sisters Market, and Deep Roots CPS Farm in creating resilient, community-driven food systems. Ricky Hall, board chair of the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition, sums up a stark reality. The disparities between West Boulevard and its neighboring communities come down to access.
Disparities between West Boulevard and other communities is that there are no access points. The only thing we have is convenience stores and dollar stores as direct access points. There are no traditional grocery stores in the corridor, and therefore that creates a great disparity in terms of other communities in close proximity. For instance, South End, where you can find any number of grocery stores to access. And so there's no immediate access here.
However, the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition is tackling that problem by offering the community direct access to fresh, healthy food.
The West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition's mission is to drive community-led and community-driven economic development activity designed to improve education and health outcomes and social determinants of health for residents in the West Boulevard corridor area. One of the things that we provide is direct access to fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown from the ground and sold at the farmer's market on site. These grandma hands. I started in the garden with my grandmother at a very young age. I've always said that the most valuable crop that we are raising in the Seeds for Change garden are the youth and work in the garden, where they are engaged in positive out-of-school time activities. They're developing marketable skills and habits, and they are learning how to grow fresh, healthy food and vegetables. Also, they're learning how to become ambassadors to the community and then become the succession points for those like myself who won't be here forever. Hopefully what we'll have is a return on investment of youth who know how to work at a garden, youth who know how to work at any occupation they pursue in life, and those who may even come back and be a continual part of the Seeds for Change initiative or the Three Sisters Market. That's the value that it provides to the community, in addition to providing fresh access to food. They're actually earning a wage, and that is important in and of itself.
One of the things that I learned from Mr. Hall is that you can be able to you can do anything in the garden if you just practice enough. Because when I first started doing this, I wasn't really good at it, but it's over more and more time, he kept showing me, helped me improve, be able to garden. He really helped me improve to be a better gardener.
As with planting seeds, reaping a harvest takes time. As a long-standing member of the West Boulevard Coalition, Ricky Hall knows this firsthand, as Three Sisters Market is finally within reach for residents of the West Boulevard corridor after decades of waiting.
One of the initiatives that we're involved in to improve health and wealth is the Three Sisters Market, and we are doing so after 3 decades plus years of trying to attract a traditional grocery store, and we're moving forward with the development of the Three Sisters Market. They deserve and will get access to fresh fruit and vegetables, and the opportunity to grow the economic base here in the West Boulevard corridor. Our community has a history of being a part of cooperative enterprises, and so it's not going to be a one-off thing where one of us are doing it. It's a collective effort, and through collective economics, we can grow and improve quality of life in the West Boulevard corridor.
Amidst the challenges, a beacon of hope emerges. Three Sisters Market embodies the spirit of food sovereignty, empowering local residents to take control of their food system and build a more equitable and resilient community.
Over the last 30 years, West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition has been looking for a solution to the food desert that it is in. West Boulevard has tried different models, big box stores, smaller box stores, to be able to provide healthy food access, and have been turned away. So during research and understanding different models, Food Cooperative was the best to both provide healthy access and also foster community and fit within their mission.
What we all know to be true is the trek to Walmart without a vehicle is quite a lot. It's the only real option that you would have for any fresh food product. And again, when you're dealing with a community that is not does not have transit by the way of vehicular transit options or availability, it just makes the opportunity, to get to those kinds of options that much more difficult. And one of the hypotheticals I always express is imagine where you have to take a bus to get to the grocery store, and regardless of how many buses or connections it may take, you've done your grocery shopping, be it for a week or any kind of volume, and then you have to travel back home with a bunch of bags, and you may have your child with you or any of that. That just makes it extremely cumbersome to really make a solid kind of trip to get all of your groceries at one time, and then you end up having to do multiple trips, or however you have to go about planning to account for that. And it's just it's overly difficult for individuals to be able to access quality food options.
Three Sisters Market addresses the need for food sovereignty by empowering residents and redefining the local food landscape.
We're working to solve that at the Three Sisters Market Food Co-op, as well as the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition, intently to provide that access. But we want, this project is inclusive, not intended to be exclusive, but we certainly want this community to be afforded the opportunity to amenities and just quality products that they have historically not had access to. So what programming does the community want to see in that programmatic space that can help to ensure and support their overall development as people is one of the major things. But certainly beyond that, long-term speaking, we want this to be viable. We want this to be a major component of a changing corridor and of the character of this corridor, and for it to last as long as the community sees fit as we move forward. And we want to be not only one of the top Black-led, Black-owned cooperative grocery stores, but we want to be one of the top cooperative grocery stores.
The vision of Three Sisters Market is to become to provide access, but also to become a community hub that also fosters community empowerment and also health and well-being.
The vision of Three Sisters Market isn't just about bricks and mortar, it's about roots and dreams. It begins not with a building, but with the strength of three women who had a deep-rooted desire and tenacity for community transformation.
Three very powerful women that walk the streets of Charlotte and West Boulevard. One of them being named Amy James. Amy James was a school teacher. She had a Sunday school named after her. She also has a recreation center, the Amy James Recreation Center, that is on West Boulevard. She was one of the women that advocated for resources and preserving the rights on West Boulevard. Boulevard. The next one was Lucille McNeil. Lucille McNeil was actually the founder of West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition. She was also a organizer for domestic workers. The last was Dorothy Waddy. Dorothy Waddy preceded Lucille McNeil and revitalized the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition in 2002. But she also was one that preserved or was fighting for the preservation and the rights and resources, safer housing, safer neighborhoods. But those three women are the legacy that we carry and the reason why we call ourselves Three Sisters Market.
Behind this food cooperative's vision and development stands the West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition.
West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition is the founding thought partner of this food cooperative. They're the ones that came up with the ideal, and they are also the nonprofit developer. The impact that we want to provide after this is over goes in between both organizations. And so in those ways we walk together, however, they are definitely separate entities.
With a new food cooperative model taking root in Charlotte, North Carolina, education is key.
So Co-op 101 is a place where you can come and you can gain knowledge about what a co-op is. This model is very new to Charlotte, although food co-ops have been around for years upon years. And so Food Co-op 101 is a place where you can come and learn and understand whether it's our principles, whether it's the democratic control, anything about our co-op and the model. So you're welcome to ask questions and learn more about what we're doing.
Venturing on the outskirts of the city of Charlotte, we discover a sanctuary of sustainable agriculture. Deep Roots CPS Farm exemplifies the power of family, community, and environmental stewardship in creating a thriving ecosystem that nourishes both people and the planet.
Deep Roots CPS Farm was established formally as a farm agricultural business in 2019, but our story began way before that. As a family, Wisdom and I decided we wanted to have some self-sufficiency for ourselves, and we wanted to cultivate that as much as we could for our community. And self-sufficiency, the basis of that for us was to be able to provide food for ourselves and our family. And so we started growing our own food right in our backyard. And our children were able to engage with the food they were eating. They were growing it. That is called homesteading, where you basically build a food forest at the place where you live and you eat off the land. Started to grow in abundance, where it was more than our family can consume alone. And so we started to share that with our neighbors and greater community. And then I started on a path to think, well, wait a minute, who's providing food in our community at markets for our community? And we noticed that there weren't very many Black farmers in Mecklenburg County or in our community doing so. And so we decided to start this business, Deep Roots CPS Farm, to do that for our community and to be an example and hopefully inspire others to do it.
We pride ourselves with giving back in a variety of ways. We have a senior program, about hundreds of seniors with fresh, local, and 99% of it organic produce. We also have summer camps every summer where we help children actually learn about what it means to farm and in the different elements of farming. We have a connection to other farmers and growers where we do educational workshops, where we also teach people about the aspect of farming.
The core of what we do is we're stewards, right? We understand that everything we do here starts at the soil. So taking good care of our environment and having practices on our farm to take care of the soil so that it will continue to give for future generations is something that we hold very dear. And our commitment to the work we do also extends to understanding that we are stewards and we are in service to the community. And our service to the community means that we have to curate activities and programming that provide access to this farmland that we're stewarding to the youth to people who are interested in farming, who want to have a better connection to their food. Partner with agencies, nonprofits who are also serving community in various ways, so we can see if there's a way we can collaborate. One of the partners we have is the Charlotte Rescue Mission, where we open our farm to those who would like to come and work on the farm to learn skills that they may be able to use their time in their residential program.
And as Deep Root CPS Farm looks to the future, its vision is clear: to cultivate a legacy of sustainability, community, and connection for generations to come.
Whole families participate in the process and the systems of farming here. We charge with the responsibility of taking that information further into the next generation. Providing a place for our family to work and to learn is primary for us.
Yeah, and it all started with us trying to deepen our connection to each other, having spaces that we can bond. And what better way to do that is in nature, engaged in this activity of farming. Like our son, he quickly wanted to work with animals.
I'm usually in charge of doing the animals most mornings. After I transition from checking all the animals, making sure everybody's okay, has water, food, and all the things they need for the day, I usually transition into just regular farm labor, weeding, planting, harvesting, anything like that. You know, sanitizing, washing containers, making sure everything is in order. I think it's important for me to be here because there's really nowhere else I could be to get the type of experience I'm getting and see the full 360 of the business the way I can see it now.
Each and every one of them have found their way on the farm and found their way on the farm that is able to provide not only for our family, but you know, for our community and inspiring other children too as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things that we do in terms of our regenerative practices. We have grazing animals, right? Like we have goats and horses. And what they do to help the regenerative practices is their waste products essentially help the soil to improve in order for eventually the growth to get better, for the soil to retain more water, for the microbiome under the soil to be more lively. We use the waste products from all our animals, the chickens, etc., to make compost. And that compost actually goes into being able to feed the produce and also increase the soil health. Now, the chickens that we raise, the hens, including the meat birds, are all on pasture. So they're rotated in daily or every 2 days to be able to get fresh access to bugs and grass. Even our goats, they're on rotated pastures, and that rotation of the pastures gives them access to fresh feed, fresh graze, I should say. And so all the animals are basically raised in a environment of care and compassion for the life that they live. So it's one big stewardship process that really evaluates the health and life of the animals and balances it with the soil and the water.
And in terms of our growing practices for producing the produce that we have on the farm, farms help create or sustain in a city, especially urban farms, in a city environment, all the healthy ecosystem that would be absent if we didn't have trees, if we didn't have this natural landscape. We have 7 acres here in the city of Charlotte that if we weren't stewarding it, it could convert into, you know, a commercial development or a residential development that wouldn't provide this natural landscape that our community can benefit from. So we sell all the produce that we get from the farm at 2 farmers markets in Charlotte. One is the Uptown Farmers Market on Saturday mornings. And then we sell our produce at the North End Market, which is at Camp North End on Wednesdays. We also maintain an on-farm stand, first and the fourth Sunday of every month. One of the signature programs, which I think is absolute fabulous because it connects the food system from farm to table, is our farm to table dinner. And we wanted to connect with Black chefs, to have them connect with us as a farm, to utilize our produce, and then connect that to community so people can enjoy themselves on the farm, eating the most healthiest, the best tasting produce. We really want to serve as a model for what can be done, especially what can be done when you have deep roots in community, where you have value systems that always connect to stewarding the earth as well as the people.
Deep Root CPS Farms model illustrates what's possible when community values focus on nurturing both the earth and its people. Dr. Monique May delves into the critical link between nutrition and community well-being.
In my opinion, high quality nutrition is important, particularly in mental health, because we know that diets that are high in processed foods or foods that promote inflammation also can contribute to or trigger depression, anxiety, and even impaired cognition or thought processes. High quality nutrition impacts disease prevention by giving the body what it needs to, number one, heal itself, to be able to stave off the effects of just day-to-day living. When you're getting high quality nutritious foods that contain a lot of antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, your body is better positioned to heal and to recover from just the act of living. One of the conditions that we see commonly in conditions in communities facing food inequities is hypertension, for example, high blood pressure, or the silent killer, as it's commonly called. Because in communities where they don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, but have a lot of fast food restaurants or convenience stores, what are known as either food deserts or food swamps, where they may be getting a lot of their food that has a lot of salt in it and not enough potassium, well, we know that that affects blood pressure levels, which then, of course, increases the risk for stroke and kidney disease and ending up on dialysis and heart attacks and all of those poor outcomes. I like to tell people to eat the rainbow. So when you go to your grocery store or local farmer's market and you see these beautiful, vibrant colors, all of those are healthy plant chemicals. Those are those antioxidants that we talk about. Or if you're restricted to food from a can that often is highly processed, then you're not getting those antioxidants and those nutrients like fiber and protein and good carbohydrates.
Eating healthy plays a vital role in quality of life and health outcomes. But for some, that's easier said than done by those living in Charlotte's food deserts.
A food desert is basically a community or a neighborhood in which there is a paucity or a lack of access to fresh, wholesome vegetables or good quality nutrition. So, like for example, my area, I have access to probably at least 7 grocery stores within a 5-minute drive of where I live. Contrast that to certain parts of the city where you can drive for a little bit and not see a grocery store or even a farmer's market or a community garden, though that would be considered a food desert. So the only real form of nutrition or place where people can buy food is often convenience stores or gas stations, things like that. So whether you're plant-based or not, you should be getting your minerals, your vitamins, your good fats, all these things. And if you're limited to a convenience store where things are packaged, right? Because they're meant to sit on those shelves for a while, right? They need to not go bad. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that they're processed, they're full of chemicals and additives so that they don't spoil. One of the quote unquote downsides of eating fresh food is it can, it'll spoil on you if you don't preserve it in some way so that you can use it later. So when you're limited to convenience stores and gas stations and fast food spots, that those foods are highly processed, often very high sodium, very high in saturated fat. And so that's going to contribute to a host of illnesses. Again, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, the list goes on. Community gardens and mobile markets can improve access by bringing the food to the community. Often if people don't have transportation or ways to get to grocery stores if they're not in their neighborhood, so now that's a barrier for them, having a mobile market bring in fresh alternatives, healthier alternatives, that eliminates that barrier for the community, as well as community gardens helps to actually educate and gives the community a sense of pride, a sense of ownership, food sovereignty, which is where the community can decide what they want to grow, what foods are important to them. And it also teaches, you can start teaching children the importance of growing your own fruits and vegetables and learning how to work the land. So it's educational and it's healthy for the community, and it really has a lot of benefits.
Ultimately, the journey towards food sovereignty requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Reflecting on her own experiences, Executive Director Tiffany Font shares her personal story and Soul Nation's vision for empowering communities to achieve food equity for all.
I grew up here in the South, Charlotte, North Carolina, with my grandma, cooking breakfast and dinner at the same time, and the base was usually a fat back, some hog maw to season the vegetables and the meats, right? There's so many other ways to get savory foods. Well, I mean, I see, just like in my family alone, as I'm diabetic, then I have a sister who's diabetic, a mother who's diabetic, grandparents who are diabetic, right? So in my family alone, and I don't think it's necessarily a genetic disorder versus how we choose to prepare our foods and the unhealthy habits that was passed down through our generations, right? And then in this particular area in which I live, I think heart disease is high, cholesterol and diabetes is like the top three. So I see it on a community level about how food is impacting our community. And I live in a place that, predominantly black, old school, as they say, so the fat back and the hog maw preparations of food. So you can just see how that, like my family is just a microcosm of what's happening on a macro level in our community. It is so important for us to reconnect to traditional ways because, one, we know where our food comes from, and two, that gives us access. Like growing up with my grandparents, my grandfather actually had a garden in the backyard. We only went to the grocery store to get like canned goods, some canned goods that he didn't grow, and to get meats.
More than just individual preferences, dismantling systemic barriers creates a food system where justice and equity are not just ideals, but everyday realities.
Food equity for me is about having access and choice and option of foods. Being able to have access to fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, quality meats, and having the option to choose that if that's what you want to do. I think in the Black community, it becomes super important because I think we have conflated cultural and oppressive eating. We were served the scraps and that was all we had access to. I think the equity piece is understanding that is just a remnant of an oppressive system that we've had versus our cultural foods, which is based in vegetables and fruits. Just like water, air, and housing, I believe food is a right that everyone should have. And equity from those that may be homeless to those that are able to buy their food. We need to understand equity across the spectrum, that even if someone doesn't have a job or a place to live, they're still part of our community.
Soul Nation aims to empower disadvantaged communities to implement food sovereignty.
It may take a little effort, it may take a little energy, but amplifying those stories so people in community know that there are people working on our behalf to invest in that. I think second, outside of storytelling, is also creating the mobile farmers market. It's one of the initiatives that we're looking to move towards, in which we create a currency system associated with it that is rooted in community gardens, taking care of our vulnerable. So like taking that holistic approach of all things considered, and getting an initiative in which we can control how our food gets to us from seed to to our table.
Soul Nation is committed to reimagining our food systems for a healthier future.
Our approach is to be holistic and realistic. What does it look like to have a year-round farmers market that people can have access to, that comes to community, versus those that may be more vulnerable or elderly having to come out. So part of our work is also amplifying and partnering with other organizations to make sure that people have access and understanding where our food comes from, and that sometimes our food is killing us, right? And it's time for us to change the trajectory, and we can have control over that. That is something that we literally can control.
Soul Nation's mission in creating this documentary is to illuminate the systemic barriers to food equity in Charlotte's historically Black communities, while showcasing the inspiring resilience and innovative solutions being led by those on the front lines. Prioritizing equitable access and sustainable practices is vital for ensuring that every community, regardless of ethnicity or socioeconomic status, has the resources to thrive. By building a food system that works for everyone, we can transform lives, strengthen communities, and create a more resilient future for generations to come.